Yeah.
What's the problem?
Okay, I think it's April 28th. I know it was a Sunday. There was, I guess, 4 people coming out of the house in front of my house, but I'm in the backyard, up the hill. I'm just, having a place private to sit down. And then I noticed that they're looking in my direction, and I was thinking, well, maybe they'll stop, but then they kept looking in my direction, so I'm just thinking, where do I go now for my privacy, since they're staring me from there? And I thought, well, maybe that's just one event and that's it. But later that week, one of them, which was a woman in this case, went into the front yard and was just staring in my direction for, I guess, about like 2 minutes. I was just in the backyard and hoping that she'll not look, but she keeps looking in my direction, and I'm thinking, well, maybe she'll stop and get going, but she doesn't stop. And so I'm looking to see when she'll leave. And then there is a third incident where this time I'm at church. I'm just having a private place to pray, but I have a phlegm problem if I have to be outdoors because I'm having to sit. And so I'm not sure because I don't have 20/20 vision, but it seems like it's probably the same woman because the build is about the same, something like that. But I'm not sure because I don't have 20/20 vision. But I haven't experienced this before where somebody's just staring at me from a distance. But it happened to me a third time. This time from a parking lot, staring at me. But I stopped it by doing a hand gesture like get moving, like that hand gesture. I don't like to have to do that because it's like being like a mean person.
Right.
But
well, you want your privacy, right?
Yeah. And then I don't know if this is correlated or not, but some woman comes out of Alcoholics Anonymous, is up there, and says she wants to show me her tattoo down here.
Out of the blue, a woman walks up to you and tells you she wants to show you her tramp stamp.
Yeah, a tattoo, not down there, but down here still.
Yeah, they're still called tramp stamps at that point, the lower back.
Yeah, tramp stamp. And I don't know if it's correlated. I mean, if it is, then that means there's more than 2 people involved, because it couldn't be just this woman here and that woman there. There must be somebody in the go-between doing that if it's correlated. If it's not...
Out of the blue, someone wants to show you her body.
It is...
It's a good thing.
No, that's not a good thing. It's not a good thing. But, I just told her, no, you don't want to do stuff like that. But it's probably not correlated. But I don't know because, it is odd. It's kind of weird.
Well, let's see.
But that's one thing about the 3 different events where it's the same person. The third one, it looks like it's the same person, but I'm not sure because I don't have 20/20 vision.
Is David Swanson?
Yeah, my name is David Swanson.
What's your date of birth, Mr. Swanson?
October 8th, 1962.
And where do you live?
26492, Estanciero Drive.
How do you spell that?
Estanciero Drive. Of course, the next door neighbor is not next door to the left or the right, but across from the street.
So, you're in your backyard, and the people across the street have a view into your backyard?
They have a view to a portion of it. I mean, most people will have a view to other people's backyard. They might look briefly, at like look at a beautiful day, things like that.
But there's a portion of your backyard where they don't have a view to?
Well, inside of a little shed, downstairs, lower. But I was trying to have privacy from the people in the house as well, and so that's why I'm up the hill. I don't actually have complete privacy in my room in the house itself. It's kind of like renting an open space. It's somewhat secluded, but there's no door to it.
And the area you were sitting in the yard, is that like a patio, or you're up in the bushes?
It's up in the bushes up the hill. It's on a little swing set that's there. It's up on the hill.
When you say a swing set, you're talking like a lounger for adults, or like a swing set for kids?
Lounger for adults,
okay.
Yeah.
So there's nothing too odd about that would draw attention.
No.
So you're sitting there, how far away is it, do you think, from where you were sitting to where they were in the afternoon?
Well, it would be the house I think it's about going up the hill diagonally about 45-degree angle. There's probably the equivalent of maybe 7 house widths long, and because it's diagonal, I guess 70% of that vertical, and then horizontal. There's a little, vertical is so much, and horizontal is 70%, and then there's a whole street width away to the front yard of the other person. It's a one-story house. It's almost the closest house on the opposite side of the street. It's probably the second closest house.
So maybe, what, football field length?
Let's see. Well, a little bit less than that. Maybe 3/4 of it, I'm guessing.
So about 70 yards maybe?
It might be. Yeah, my height is, like 2.5 yards? So, well, that might be less than 70 yards.
Yeah. Hank, you already told me a couple of times you don't have 20/20 vision. What's the possibilities that they really weren't staring at you, per se, but looking in the direction?
Well, it is a possibility, but it would have been twice, and on the third time when it happened, I'm shooting somebody, and they walk away. But of course, I don't know if that third time is the same person, but it kind of looks like the same person. And the second time, there was one woman there. Then her husband comes up and stands next to her and looks in my direction as well. So that makes it look like they were looking at me. But it's still, I have the feeling like I'm being looked at. Still, I get that feeling. And
with that in mind, how can I help you?
Well, right now I'm just giving it a report just in case anything happens in the future. I mean, there's already something happening 3 times, and maybe it'll happen the 4th time or 5th time. Of course, I'm also taking extra precaution with that. Like if it happens again, I just go somewhere else.
Well, the legal problem we're running into here is there's an expression that the eye can commit no trespass.
Yeah.
What that means is if we're here out in the open and I happen to see a person sitting in their car smoking methamphetamine from a pipe.
Yeah.
I could go arrest them just because I've seen them doing it. They don't have any Fourth Amendment rights against search and seizure because what they did, they're doing in a public place. So my eye can commit no trespass. I'm not infringing upon their rights because they're doing something that's within the view of the public or a view that the public can reasonably be expected to see. So if you're in the area of your backyard that is viewable from the street and somebody happens to see you, there's really no crime in that. It may be creepy that they're sitting there looking at you
and staring, and
legally they're doing nothing wrong. If they were to enter into your backyard to come look at you, then you have a trespassing issue. Then you've got an issue.
Right. Okay.
If we can 100% say that's the same woman over and over, well, maybe then there's an issue with her stalking you. But do you know this woman?
I don't believe I know any of them.
Are you a famous person that I don't know about that you might have a stalker? Or?
Well, I'm not famous, but I do know that for the last 4 or 5 years I've been sharing True Life and God messages to a lot of people. It's from the internet. It's not from me, it's from somebody else, really. But it is possible, because I did get some flack for it, that maybe there's some stalking going on. I mean, it may look, it might not look like it on the surface. I'm not a famous person, but you don't have to be famous to be stalked, and it's a possibility. But I would say it's more like being spied on, maybe, if that's the case, because they live there. But who knows? Maybe they moved there because someone told them to. See, I don't know.
You think somebody told them to move there to spy on you?
Well,
Mr. Swanson, that sounds a little
It does sound paranoid, but my concern is that, nobody else stared at me before.
What would they gain by spying?
Well, I think it's not spying like to find out what I'm doing. It's more like trying to create an incident. It looks like they're trying to create an incident or something, just staring at me, hoping that I'll react or something. I don't know, but I've never had anyone stare at me before.
Why would anyone want to cause you to react violently?
Well, not violently, just to...
react in any way.
Yeah, I don't know.
What would they gain from that?
Well, I'm just worried that maybe they hope to gain something from it, and I don't know what it is at this moment because they keep doing it, because nobody else has done it before. I've had next door neighbors for like, you know, I've lived there for a long time since childhood, for many, many years, and you know, I've never experienced, yeah, it's my house. I've never experienced somebody staring at me.
You don't have any privacy in your own house?
Not a complete privacy, no.
Who else lives there?
Well, I have my own relatives that live there.
Oh,
okay. It's not complete privacy because, you know, it's next, like, you know, it's like near the washing machine and things like that. Okay, but anyway, but I've never experienced it before where just somebody is staring at me from their yard to mine and just keeps on staring. I haven't experienced it before. So that's why I'm kind of concerned, because if I had experiences for several years where there's all different types of things that were used on, you know, I guess against me, I think to get me conditioned to become paranoid over time. And maybe that's the intention, I don't know. Because, I don't know, I used, you know, like I would go to the church down the street often, you know, pray there. I used to have a car and I would sit in the car for a prayer session, all that. Sometimes in the church, whatever. And there used to always be the police coming there whenever I come, and then whenever I don't go there, then when I come back again a few days later, they're not there. The next day they're there again. It keeps repeating. It's okay for the police because they're trying to do the right thing. But after the repeated pattern has happened for such a long time, it got me thinking that somebody perhaps might hate me a little bit because I don't know what I'm doing. And nobody ever tells me when I'm doing wrong.
Nobody hates you. What it is, though, and I don't know you, I don't usually work in this city, so I've never been called on you, but I've been in circumstances. I've been doing this for a long time. Whenever there's somebody sitting in a car in a parking lot where people don't normally sit, which is pretty much anywhere, unless you're at a drive-in movie theater where everyone's sitting in their cars, most of the time people don't just sit in the car. I understand you got your phlegm problem, so you don't go into the church, you go out do your own worship on the parking lot your own way.
Yeah.
I get that. However, you have to understand it's out of the ordinary. And when things are out of the ordinary, it tends to make people uncomfortable, much like you having your neighbor staring at you. It makes you uncomfortable.
Yeah.
When people get uncomfortable, they call us to come check on you, see what you're doing out there, because while you're innocently out there in your car doing your own form of worship, some people might think you're out there masturbating or getting ready to snatch a small kid from the parking lot or getting ready to wait for somebody and attack them. People don't know. They always assume the worst. So they call us to come check on you, and you feel persecuted for that, or you feel bothered by it. You know,
well, they don't actually, but the thing is, they don't come up to me. It's like happened for several years.
Who doesn't come up to you, the police, or?
They don't come up to me. They're in the parking lot, and it's been happening for several years. There's other people in their cars as well. You know, like there's an elderly woman that's in her car, somewhat elderly, you know, will sit in her car as well for quite a while. And then, you know, every now and then you see other people also sitting in their cars, but it's me.
The norm.
Yeah,
exception to the rule.
Yeah, and they may add to it, and then there's probably something else. Well, anyway, the pattern, the repeated pattern, you know, doesn't seem to stop. It just changes course into something else. And now I'm thinking maybe this is just another extension of the same thing. But it might not. It might be isolated, but it's really unusual.
My thought
to be
is
considered.
You're probably overthinking it, and don't take this the wrong way, but
okay.
You're probably overthinking it, and you're causing yourself to make connections that aren't really there.
Okay.
Have you ever gone to a doctor and diagnosed as paranoid or anything like that?
I hadn't been diagnosed as paranoid, but
you have?
No, I had not.
Okay.
But you know,
have you
a
ever
repeated
gone to
pattern.
A mental health professional for any type of diagnosis like that? Or?
No, I hadn't been diagnosed with paranoia.
Or any other type of?
Well, some thought it might have been somewhat autistic. So my brain is
type thing or
something similar to that. Okay. Yeah. I really, I mean, a repeated pattern that keeps happening. You get conditioned after a while, but I'm trying to uncondition it because you don't really know what's next just based on what happened in the past.
But it sounds like what's happening now is you're looking for the next incident. You already said you're conditioned. So you're looking for the next incident, and anytime anyone looks at you, first thing you're going to do is jump to the conclusion.
You're right,
Looking at me? Is that person staring at me? Are they part of it? And you ask yourself like that, and next thing you think, are they part of that? Part of what? What is them? Nothing.
Hopefully,
Mr. Swanson, nobody's on it. Why would they be?
Hopefully
you're a
not.
normal guy, you keep to yourself, you're not rich, you're not famous, you're not a celebrity.
No, none of those.
Anyone has to stalk you for. There's nothing they're going to gain from you other than the pleasure of your company, but most people aren't going to go out of their way to stalk somebody just for the pleasure of the company. They'll find somebody else.
Right, and then the other thing too is, no, there must be something, because I used to take, because again, I take the bus sometimes. Now I use a bicycle on the bus. But when I take the bus to do mystery shopping, because that's the type of employment I had, I ended up going different directions, and I used to have a phone that couldn't tell me where to go next, because it's not a G3 or G4, So I asked people, what bus should I take to get to a certain destination? And somebody someday construed it to mean I was stalking other people. And this is after I've been saying that people are using innocent people to stalk me. In other words, like, for instance, use a police officer to stalk you. But a police officer's not stalking because he's doing his job. But they use an independent party for their own purpose. It seems like that. So and now it's like being reversed back to me. And so I'm thinking that that's all part of it too. It seems like it's all part of it, and it just becomes like continuous irritation. Well, I have two benefits from a bicycle. With a bicycle, I can skip the bus many times, and secondly, if I take a bus, I can get off the bus, ride the bicycle. And so, if any innocent bystander is afraid of me because of a false accuser, the bicycle takes the accusation away because I'm not walking with them. I'm taking a bicycle going to my own destination. I don't do mystery shopping anymore anyway. So, but I still don't have work where it's in one location. So somebody can create construed ideas, but...
Do you have access to healthcare?
I do. But can I get back to what I'm saying? I mean, why would somebody say I'm stalking somebody? Because I don't. There's like one guy on a Westminster bus who just yelled at me and saying that.
When was that?
That was maybe a year ago or two.
It's ancient history.
It is, but there's people that act like I'm stalking them. They act a little bit like it, a little bit paranoid, and I don't do it. And so I'm thinking that, first of all, there's somebody trying to give me trouble, and then because I share about the fact that it's happening, it leaks out, so they come up with a new thing, pretend I'm doing that trouble. It looks like that. You can't really know, but you see some results. You see people thinking that they're being stalked, but you see, I walk and I take a bicycle. If you really want to do that, you drive or something, or whatever. And then before that, there's just, I guess, always watch as if I'm going to do some horrible thing, but I never do because I'm not that kind of person. But it's like they build pressure in one direction, watch you, make you feel like you're a terrible person, and then when you share about it, it leaks out, and somebody else says that I'm doing what I'm saying others were doing. It seems like it's like a reverse psychology, maybe, or whatever.
Well, speaking of psychology,
it just seems like it's repeated stuff. But anyway, go ahead.
Speaking of psychology, okay. I'm not a psychologist.
Right.
I'm a doctor. Never put on TV. However, I have received extensive training on different forms of mental illness.
Yeah.
And it's not my place to accuse anybody, or because it's not really an accusation. It's a diagnosis. But based upon what you've told me so far and the way you're behaving, it would sound to me like you're having some symptoms of paranoia. And that's something that you might want to go check out with a mental health professional, which is why I asked you if you have access to health care.
Well, I do. I do have access to health care. I know. It's
a bad thing. It's basically
if the health care works. It's a good thing if it works.
Look at it, yeah. If you have a mental illness of some sort, it's just like having the other illness. You catch a cold, it's not your fault.
Right.
People come down with cancer, it's not their fault. It's just something that happens to them. It's an unfortunate set of circumstances. If you have some type of maybe a paranoia, it's an unfortunate circumstance, but it's something that's possibly treatable. So before you start,
it would be nice to be treatable.
Before you start feeling that people are persecuting you, or people are watching you, or staring at you, or people are saying things about you.
Well, of course, I was stared at 3 times there.
Symptoms of paranoia.
Yeah.
I'd suggest strongly you make an appointment or talk to a mental health professional and see if they can, if they come to the same determination I do, or have the same hunch for that.
Yeah, if it would just be without drugs.
Sure.
But what do they have without drugs?
Again, I'm not a doctor. I don't know.
Yeah, the healthcare I have always resorts to medical drugs. Hyperbaric oxygen treatment would be great, but it's expensive. No health coverage for that yet.
You've had a doctor recommend drugs to you before?
Well, there was for autism, Asperger, that type of stuff. But the side effects were a little bit frightening to me, So, and it's So anyway.
How long ago was that?
That was a few years ago.
Because they're coming out with new medications.
I know, they're track records.
I got a book this thick, so just nothing but different types of medications. And the thing is, they make this, book this thick of different medications because not every medication works the same for every person.
Oh yeah, indeed.
Something that may have given you bad results in the past, there might be 100 other different medications that would give you good results to try. So you're not just pigeonholed into going with this one medication you didn't like before.
Right.
So there's a possibility
that when they gave me Novain, my muscles got stiff, and when they gave me Cogentin, although it relaxed the muscles, I felt like I was having difficulty breathing. It wasn't taking breath away, but it had the feeling on my muscles as if I was not breathing.
Maybe there's about 1,000 other different medications in that big old book that might work for you better without giving you side effects.
Hopefully, possibly.
Right now, Mr. Swanson, like I said, there's no
but it'll probably not happen.
There's no violation of law.
Yeah.
Nothing I can really do against your neighbors. I am annotating on my notepad everything you told me, so there is a record of it.
Right.
And until then, if somebody's looking at it, you don't like it, go somewhere where they can't see it. Go back inside the house, go to the part of the yard, turn around and ignore them. The only way they have any type of power over you is if you allow them to have that type of power over you. It sounds like you've given them that power by reacting to it or being bothered by them looking at you. If you don't react to it, if you don't let it bother you, it takes all the power away.
All right. Well, yeah, and shooing them away was a good idea the third time.
There you go.
Okay. All right. See ya. Bye.